This is Plant-Based Briefing, Protecting Sea Animals, PCRM's Report from the Field, written by Catharine Krebs, PhD, Medical Research Program Manager at the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson. This is the curated-content plant-based podcast, where I narrate a variety of articles on healthy, compassionate, and sustainable living with permission in about 10 minutes or less every weekday. And I'm pleased to have permission from the Physicians Committee to share their amazing content. They're a nonprofit founded by Dr. Neil Barnard, combining the clout and expertise of more than 17,000 physicians and 1 million members and supporters worldwide. They're changing the way doctors treat chronic diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and cancer by putting prevention over pills and empowering patients to take control of their own health. And since 1985, the Physicians Committee has worked tirelessly for alternatives to the use of animals in medical education and research, and for more effective scientific methods. Their staff of physicians, dietitians, and scientists works with policymakers, industry, the medical community, the media, and the public to create a better future for people and animals. They're such an amazing organization. And most of what I've read from their content relates to the health side of things, but I thought this was interesting to give a glimpse as to what they do from the policy side for animals as well. Today's episode is actually from their Report from the Field series. It's an email sent to PCRM members designed to give an insider's look into their work. So now let's get to today's plant-based briefing. Protecting Sea Animals, PCRM's Report from the Field, written by Catharine Krebs, PhD, Medical Research Program Manager at Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. The Physicians Committee is working tirelessly to end the use of animals in scientific research and testing, and we're making incredible progress that is saving lives. Since you're a dedicated Physicians Committee member, let me give you a behind-the-scenes look into this work. As you know, animals do not belong in research laboratories, but until we replace the use of animals with human-based and non-animal approaches, enforcing animal welfare regulations is an important step toward minimizing the pain and suffering that animals in laboratories currently experience. Tragically, some animals are left out of these protections entirely, and we are committed to changing that. The Animal Welfare Act, AWA, is the only federal law regulating the treatment of animals in research, education, and testing. The law sets minimum standards for the treatment of animals, including requirements that they be given food, water, rest, and, when necessary, anesthesia and medication for pain relief. The Public Health Service Policy on Humane Care and Use of Laboratory Animals, PHS policy, similarly provides animal care and use guidelines for institutions that require funding from the Public Health Service, including agencies like the National Institutes of Health, NIH. The AWA and PHS policy both attempt to protect animals in research settings, however, neither consider invertebrates to be animals. Invertebrates, animals without a backbone such as octopuses, jellyfish, lobsters, etc., are excluded from these regulations, despite evidence suggesting that many invertebrate species have significant capacity for pain and suffering, especially in captive, invasive research settings. Cephalopods are a class of marine mollusks, including squids, octopuses, cuttlefish, and nautiluses that fall under the invertebrate classification. Despite being highly intelligent animals with highly specific needs, these animals do not have even the modest protections afforded to most other animals used in research, solely because they are invertebrates. Cephalopods are extremely delicate and sensitive to captive environments. To avoid distress, pain, and even death, their tanks must meet precise requirements for temperature, lighting conditions, and lack of noise or vibrations, and the seawater must be filtered and monitored for oxygen, pH, carbon dioxide, nitrogenous compounds, and salinity. Additionally, cephalopods need enrichment to maintain healthy activity levels and avoid abnormal sleep or rest patterns or deviant, destructive, or self-destructive behavior. However, since they are excluded from the PHS policy, researchers are not required to meet these needs, and there's no recourse when animals are neglected. Our concerns for cephalopods used in experiments are exacerbated by their increasing use. Research publications that describe cephalopod experiments are on the rise, likely due to an uptick in funding for research overall, along with the fact that cephalopod breeding centers are making these animals more easily available to scientists. For years, the Physicians Committee has been working to secure protections for cephalopods and ultimately to get them out of research altogether. In 2020, we petitioned the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to change the definition of animal in the PHS policy to include cephalopods. Initially, the Office of Laboratory Animal Welfare responded, saying that they were currently considering options for providing guidance on humane care and use of invertebrates in NIH-funded research. This is crucial because the NIH is the largest funder of animal experiments in the world. Defining cephalopods as animals would impact a significant number of octopuses, squids, and other cephalopods currently being used in NIH-funded research. For 2 years, even after repeated attempts for a follow-up, no guidance or further information has been released. So in 2022, we cranked up the pressure and took the issue to Congress. We held a briefing to raise awareness of the issue and urged representatives to take immediate action. Shortly thereafter, members of the House and Senate sent letters to the NIH asking for the same policy change as our initial petition. Finally, our persistence paid off. In September 2023, the NIH took a major step forward by announcing proposed guidelines on the care and use of cephalopods. If these guidelines are adopted, researchers using cephalopods will need to receive approval from an Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee, IACUC, before proceeding with their experiments. IACUCs are required to examine the research's impact on animals' well-being, the potential need for sedation and anesthesia, and the justification for using animals over non-animal methods. Oversight from IACUCs is already required for research on vertebrate animals, and while IACUC review is far from perfect, these guidelines would finally provide intelligent, sensitive cephalopods with the same considerations offered to other animals under the law. We are glad to see the NIH taking steps toward increased protections for cephalopods, but we also know that these animals deserve stronger protections than what has been proposed, as do all animals used in research and testing. During a public comment period, we expressed our concerns for their continued use and provided recommendations on human-based methods that would benefit both animals and people. We reiterated our initial request to update the definition of animal in the PHS policy and incorporate all aspects of the policy into care and use guidelines for cephalopods. Above all else, we recommended that the use of cephalopods in research be minimized and phased out in favor of human-based approaches. We are now waiting to learn whether the NIH will adopt the proposed guidance or make any other changes we outlined. Regardless, we know that support from generous members like you means we will have the resources necessary to continue this fight until cephalopods and other sea animals are left in the ocean where they belong. Thank you for your ongoing support of all our work to create a cruelty-free world. You just listened to Protecting Sea Animals, a report from the field email to supporting members of Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine at pcrm.org. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson. I have done a number of other episodes on animal testing, animals in research. I'll link some of those in the show notes, and I also recommend watching a short film, Test Subjects, which I'll link, and the documentary My Octopus Teacher. So please share this episode with anyone who might benefit, and thanks for listening.